All right, everybody, we are live. Welcome back, everyone, to Is Your Six Covered. Appreciate you showing up. And today, somehow, the stars aligned, and I have the top three shooters from NRL 22 Championship for 2021. So, with that said, let's welcome everybody. We'll start at the top, at least my top right. We got Justin. Is it Carbone or Carbone?
Yeah, Carbone, I guess.
Carbone. Okay, I got a buddy named Lance Carbone. That's why I'm asking, because it's spelled the same. Welcome to the show.
Thank you. Happy to be here.
We're going to have some fun tonight. So what we're going to do is we are not going to be very serious. We're going to give a lot of good information is my plan anyways. And but we're going to have fun doing it. We're not going to be serious. We're going to smack talk each other. Talk about this Tom, whatever the hell his name is over here. And then we're going to have some fun. So all right, so let's go over to Tyler Orth down at the bottom right. Welcome to the show.
Well, thanks. I appreciate it. Second loser.
Second loser. I tell you what. I would take second loser all day long. You guys did an amazing job. And then Chris Simmons, Mr. a.k.a. Tom Kanansky over here. Welcome to the show. Oh, I didn't hear it.
You got to be that.
Well, I appreciate you guys showing up. Chris, he's going to screw me up with this whole Tom thing. Chris has been on the show before. We've had a lot of good conversations and really tried to help the community, with little tips and tricks, and hopefully we can get into that today. Talk a lot about stuff, but I will say, because somebody was talking about this book earlier, and a good friend of mine, Eric Leopold, he actually sent me this book today. So he said, if you ever want to get up there and get the hardware, you need to read this book. So for those of you that don't know, and hopefully we can talk a little bit about some mindset stuff coming into it, because I think, like some of us have talked about, I think that's a kind of an important thing when it comes to the level that you guys are shooting at. It's not just about pulling triggers and shooting bullets anymore. It's about trying to overcome mental errors or mistakes. Like Chris thinking he was down a certain amount of points going into the second day. What some of those things, and we'll get into that, and hopefully you guys will, definitely put your input in to make it even a little bit better. But let's start off with Chris Simmons. So, Chris, congratulations on getting first place at the NRL 22 Championship. And if you can, just run through your gear real quick and any sponsors that you want to talk about, and then we'll actually get into some meat and potatoes. But for those of you that are thinking about getting certain rifles, or what you want to know what the top shooters are shooting and what kind of gear they're running, that's the point of this. So go ahead, Chris. Mr. First Place guy, back to back.
It's basically the same rifle I run last year, except I added EC tuner. But it's a Voodoo Gen 1 action, chambered by Motorcam Custom Rifles.
Can you guys hear him?
Having trouble.
The Krieger 1 16 fifth barrel, 20 inches. Masterpiece on Honda comp chassis. Trigger Tech diamond trigger, Tangent Theta scope. There, I got the scope from Justin. Then EC tuner. So yeah, that's it.
What ammo are you shooting, or were you shooting?
Lapua Center X.
Nice.
Can you hear me, Rick?
I can hear you better now.
I don't know if you guys can hear me. I got a little technical difficulty here, so continue on with
Justin, why don't you
gear.
do your rundown of what you're using?
Yeah. All right. So yeah, I've been running an Onshoots 64 pretty much ever since I started. So I'm still using that. It's got a Schillen barrel on it with a 16 twist ratchet. that gun has a 5-ounce trigger, which is really nice, but it's borderline too light. But otherwise, ATAC-R scope. I'm shooting ammo that I got through Federal. It's Federal Ultra Match, which they used to source from RWS. It's basically RWS R50. So I'm shooting that, and that just shoots really good. Just really good ammo. Yeah, it's a biathlon trainer stock. Skypod. That's about it, I guess. I love the gun. It's a light gun. I mean, it's only like 13 and a half, 14 pounds. If I put like a bipod and a plate on it, it's maybe 15 pounds. So it's pretty light, but so it's nice for going, position to position, but a heavier gun would be a little more steady.
Yeah, absolutely.
How much does your gun weigh, Chris?
Mine weighs about 25 pounds.
Man,
That's mainly just to help me cross back and forth between fire and rim fire.
Sure.
You guys, can you hear me at least? I was having some issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear
All right.
you.
Sorry, I don't know what the heck. It was working perfectly fine, and then it wasn't. So it is what it is. It's usually what happens, right? So you guys, did you guys all go over gear rundown, or Tyler still got?
I'm left. So I'm running MPA BA comp chassis with a Rim-X, TS Custom spun up my barrel, benchmark barrel, 16.5 twist, 26 inches long. I run a full weight kit in it. Weighs probably about 21 pounds with the side rail weights. Zero compromise optics. Center X ammo. That's about it. Bixen Andy trigger.
All right. What's the one thing? I've heard this question before asked in a different format, but what's the one tool you'd have to turn around and go back to your house and grab besides like your rifle and stuff? What's the one thing that really it's a must-have? Is it a bag? Is it a Kestrel? Is it a
Kestrel. Gotta have that.
I was thinking you were going to say that. A lot of people, it seems like a lot of people are trying to, the reason why I'm bringing up the question is a lot of people are using like Straylock Pro or some other app for their phone. And it seems to do well, I just don't think it's the best tool that you can have. I know they're expensive per se, but would you say that tool is whatever price it is, depending on the version you get? It's a must-have, right? Like, save your money on something else and buy a Kestrel. Is everybody in agreement with that?
I tried running Straylock Pro right when I first started. It just doesn't keep up. You had to have constant updated data and profiles for every temperature. It was a mess.
Yeah, and it seems like you can't get weather. You can use your buddy's temps and environmentals and stuff, but like, if you're just trying to run it where it's trying to capture whatever weather stations, either a minute away or 1,000 miles away, it can definitely not be right. So I was kind of wondering about that as well. Chris, Tom, let's start off with you, Mr. First Place. What was your first PRS or NRL 22 match? And what did you take away the first match? If you remember where it was. I know you've been doing this a long time.
So I started the NRL 22 at a local club my buddy Nick run down towards Central North Carolina. That was probably 3 years ago, I guess.
That was your first match. I know you started shooting in 2018, I think I heard yesterday.
PRS and NRL.
Yeah.
Yeah, 2018. Actually, probably my first is the outlaw style match. Over. It's like a tactical skill challenge series. Steve Rowe runs it. And it's kind of based off PRS/NRL. Shoot to 300 yards. Slam it into one bag. That's probably where I started with a 40X that had been converted to a repeater.
All right. How about you guys as well? Either one. Kind of your first match and where it was and how'd it go?
Are you asking 22 specific or just precision rifle?
Yeah, 22. Let's do 22. We'll try to keep it with 22.
Yeah,
we can talk about a little bit of the rim or centerfire stuff in a little bit. We'll talk about gap grind and signing up and that kind of stuff. But
yeah, for me it was 2018. I kind of had heard about this thing called NRL 22, and I was, thinking about that on-shoots rifle that I had in my gun safe, and I was like, I bet that thing would work pretty good. So I drove down to southern Minnesota. Troy Tyson was putting on a match. It was called the Regional Championship. So it was they used to have those regional championships back in the first year. So I just go down to Troy. He was at Marv Hobbs at their house. And I'll never forget it. I had like a second focal plane loophole on that thing. And it had like a BDC reticle.
Yeah.
A Varmint Hunter reticle. And I just got lucky. It kind of worked out perfect for like 25, 50, 75, and 100. And like, I just could not miss. And I was like, what the heck? This thing's awesome, and I was hooked ever since then.
That's pretty awesome with that lined up like that. You should have bought a lottery ticket that day because.
I know. Yeah, next thing I knew, I was going to Utah for their first championship that year. I shot with Tyler and Janae Frainer, and Tyler won that match, so that was pretty cool.
That's awesome. How about you, Tyler?
This was my first match. Was 2/21/21. Yeah, I remember it like it was yesterday. I went there without a bag. Borrowed equipment. It was a mess, but I ended up getting hurt. So I thought, okay, maybe I do have some kind of talent, right? Yeah, I went there with Straylock Pro, and that was a mess. It's so cold too, but I don't know. After that first match, he got addicted.
I could be wrong on this, Tyler, but you might have sent me an email or commented on a video like, I'm going to my first match.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, yeah. That's awesome, man. I don't know if you guys watch the show or not. I know Tyler does every once in a while. I'll see him in their comment section, but kind of the whole reason why this got started per se was on the the NRL and the PRS style stuff was to get more people shooting, and it's kind of cool seeing Tyler Orth's a perfect example of a brand new shooter per se, just kicking ass, taking names, and it takes a lot of dedication, hard work, training, practice, money, and the more we practice per se, we're trying to get better each time. But I know, like Chris, I see Chris out at the range every once in a while at Virtua Defense, and but no one really knows what everybody does to get prepared for these matches. A lot of people, whether they're watching it live now, they watch it afterwards, they want to know from you guys, basically, what do you guys do to prepare for a match like this besides just shoot matches? Like, I know Chris has always been a huge component of helping me out. But, like putting a 1-inch pasty down at, 50 yards and 100 yards and do a lot of different positions and, you know, try to keep it within the pasty is a good way to kind of tell yourself if you're doing good at a certain position or whatever the case is. But what do you guys do, you know, leading up to a match, getting ready for, you know, the championship? What did you guys do before this one? I know I shot the week prior. It was actually Chris Simmons' match, and which is good. It was a tough match. So that was kind of how I prepared, but what do you guys do? In any order, don't matter.
What I would like to do would be actually train. For this match, I'm an accountant, so I had period close, which takes about a week and a half, which led right up to the match. So I wasn't really able to prep like I would like to, but I think a lot of it stems from just mental prep. Just focusing. I look at old match books, and being an accountant, I'm able to memorize things and keep it in my head, which really helps. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, ideally, you just prep your mental game, and I think that carries you through the vast majority of the match.
Now, when you say you're good with numbers, are you able to remember all your dope without having to look at your dope card per se, or like?
Pretty much, yeah.
You lucky guy, you. I wish I could do that.
Well, when you do it every day, right? You're constantly dealing with numbers. You just remember things easily.
Yeah, makes sense. Till your brain's 50.
So what do you do for training your mental game before a match, Tyler?
Well, I'll take out old match books and I'll visualize the stage and remember what it was like shooting the stage, what I had to do it, building positions. I mean, you can do it all mentally. You don't have to do it physically, because after a certain point, it's building 3 different levels. It's relatively simple. But the mental game will get you if you let it. And my background with archery was kind of a big benefit to me to make the transition to shooting rifles. Because there you just need minutes.
How about you, Justin?
Yeah, I did. I didn't train as much as I kind of wish I would have. I suppose I trained for about 10 days or 2 weeks, where I was kind of going to the range, you know, pretty much, you know, every other day or every day as much as I could. But I guess kind of leading up, you know, a month or 2 out from the match, I kind of, you know, work on like jogging or whatever to try to get my cardio in check so that I can get my resting heart rate down. That seemed to help me. And then just kind of like some of the mental stuff, you know, reading books about mental preparation, how to prepare mentally. That book right there, with Winning in Mind, yeah, that's a great book.
Have you guys all read this book?
Yep.
Yes.
Yeah.
So that's why I didn't get 1 through 3. See, I haven't read this book yet, so you guys better watch out. I might actually try to read this, you know, get this done sooner than later. So if you guys don't know, this is one of you guys will answer. Chris, go ahead and answer, and then we'll, since you guys have some good knowledge about this, maybe we can promote this book and help people on the mental side of shooting. But Chris, go ahead and.
So, you know, a few weeks prior, I switched to the tuner. Basically, I was checking dope, verifying things, shoot a couple days in a row, make sure my dope's all lining out good. One big thing is switching over. You know, we run 90 seconds here on the East Coast. So I try to practice the 2 minutes and get conditioned to running that 2 minutes instead of 90 seconds and slow myself down. I set a KYL up in the yard, run 10 or 12 shots, and just get myself prepared for that 2 minutes.
So you're actually retraining yourself to do 2 minutes.
Yeah. Slow myself down, pacing myself for that 2 minutes.
Okay. Yeah, see, and I came into it. I came into it thinking, okay, I know I have a window of an extra 30 seconds, so I can take a little bit longer to fire a shot, try to get a better shot. But yeah, I've never tried to practice in that manner of going 2 minutes. So that's good information for some people listening for sure.
You know, we both run that Apple I watch the precision shot timer app. The good thing about it is you can set alarms at every 30 seconds or so, and so I'll use that to pace myself every 2 or 3 shots, kind of getting cadence.
Yeah, if my brain can remember to turn it on before the start of the match
And charge
and charge it, yeah. So so a little backstory. James Sharp, good buddy of ours, he was on the squad and he was letting me borrow his watch each time. So I'd put it on, I'd get ready, and he'd be like, "Shooter, are you ready?" I'm like, "Yeah, I'm ready." And then, okay, he'd hit the button, and as I'm walking up to whatever barricade it is, I'm like, "Damn it, I forgot to put the damn timer on. I forgot to start the timer again." And I did that like 5 in a row. That's how my day went. But I've noticed that I feel a lot more calm when it actually is on, knowing that however long the stage is, 2 minutes, it's like I haven't heard the 30-second beep yet, so I feel like I got plenty of time, real relaxed, feel real smooth, running the bolt nice and smooth and slow, and keeping my reticle on target and stuff. When I'm not running it, I notice I'm a little more brain scramble because I'm like, well, I'm not sure. Maybe I need to ask how much time I got. Just one less thing I got to worry about when I actually do run the timer. The watch app.
Mm-hmm.
So for sure.
Yeah, those timers are invaluable. Pace yourself. I think Justin runs one as well, if I believe.
Yep. Yeah, I like to burn up all my time if I can. Take my sweet old time.
That's it. I know it doesn't matter as long as you're under 2 minutes. I mean, there might be some people watching that aren't aware yet, but yeah, you can use the full 2 minutes on these stages. So, all right, the big one, the one I want to hear. So, all 3 of you have read this book. Probably some of you read it recently, maybe a long time ago, whatever the case is. But what is some of the biggest things? We're talking about mental management now, which can be part of time management, can be part of mentally preparing, all that kind of stuff. What are some of the biggest things you took away from that book? Because I haven't had a chance to read it yet. I got it today in the mail. Thanks, Eric, by the way. He's out there somewhere. I saw him earlier. There he is. What are some of the things that really seem to, you're like, read the book and you're like, oh man, that makes a lot of sense, or that really is hits home, or whatever the case is? Like, you guys got any magic powers you can talk about?
I guess if I could think of one thing the book hits on hard that we all should be doing, and that's when you're in a match, you should be thinking about the process of shooting a match. Shouldn't be thinking about the future or the past. You shouldn't be worrying about where you're sitting, where your place is. You should be just, head in the game, just, looking at the wind, keeping your, looking at the stage, just keeping your mind on the process and just focusing on the process, because that's the only thing that you can control. You can only control yourself on, maintaining the process. So that'd be like one thing I'd say that's the big thing about that book.
I agree, for sure. Even
I'd put it back up there. Someone was asking.
I write down the score for a stage. A lot of people count how many misses they have. I write down. I used to write down like -2. It's all positive. The day I get there, from that moment on, it's all positive. There's not a doubt in my mind that I'm not there to win. Focus on the process, and you have to be 100% sure you're going to win.
Yeah, and I noticed that too. I'll kind of, because I was with Chris for the last week but he came into it even months prior, and this is probably some of his ritual routine, mental prep, whatever you want to do. But he was like, I'm going to win this match. And he was very positive about it. Not arrogant, but cocky a little bit, like at least to his buddies. Like, I'm gonna win this damn match. And I'm like, I'm the whole like karma's gonna bite you in the ass kind of guy. Like, man, don't talk like that. You're gonna get a total of like 3 hits out of 200 and something. If you talk like that. But that may be, and I'm asking the question as I'm talking about this because I just happen to, have witnessed this. I'm like, man, he's really gonna blow it by talking all this, not smack. He wasn't talking smack, but he's like, I'm gonna win. Like, I'm gonna win. So, what do you think there, Mr. Chris, Tom Kanansky? Like, is that what you do? Like, when you tell yourself you're a winner, is that how you break that down?
That's part of the process. You have to make your subconscious realize that you're going to win, and you have to tell yourself you're going to win. I'll write notes in my reloading room. You're going to win the national championship. On my data card, I'll put like win or just a little note. Shoot better than you did on the last day. It's all positive. Like I say, don't count your misses. I don't know how many times somebody asked me how many you're down. I don't know how many I'm down, but I cleaned the last days. I cleaned 3 or 4 in a row. So it's all positive. If it crosses through your mind during the stage, you're going to miss that shot. 95% of the time, you're going to miss that shot because you thought about missing. So it's all in your subconscious.
Lanny talks about in that book about there's 3 kind of mental thought process, I guess. So one is your conscious mind, one is your subconscious, and the third is your self-image. And if your self-image does not believe that you are the type of person to win, then you physically cannot win. You can only do as good as your self-image will let you. So you need to like train your self-image, throughout the year. You need to build your self-image up, and then your self-image will allow you to win. So then during the match, you use your conscious mind to focus on the process, and then you let your subconscious do all the heavy lifting.
Mm-hmm.
So if those 3 things aren't in balance, and he goes into examples about, different ways that you can be out of balance, but they need to be in balance in order to perform at a high level.
Yeah.
I think you said 100% of the winning is done by 5% of the competitors.
Mm-hmm.
Say that one more time, Chris.
I think he breaks it down where 100% of the winning is done by 5% of the competitors.
Oh. Yeah? I mean, that makes sense. That's deep. You got anything you want to add to that? No, I'm excited. I was super excited to come home from work and have an Amazon bag, soft package with the this book in it.
Mm-hmm.
So, no, I'm definitely interested, and I think that's where it's going to help me, because even Chris told me at the match, he's all, well, why don't you tell everybody? What were the things I was screwing up on? It was, I think you had said stage prep.
Yeah, stage prep. And
go ahead, blast me up if there's stuff. This is the only way people learn, and I've always been a component of, hey, I'll take the ass whooping to get everybody to learn something from it. So, I mean, I show all the stuff when I miss hits. I'm not the whole, oh my gosh, Rick got to clean on everything. Like, it's amazing what you can do with the editing software, right? No, but tell me, let it out.
Yeah, you shot good, but like you'd get out of order on your target engagements, and obviously they wouldn't see anything. There was probably 3 or 4 stages where you engaged the wrong target, and then you got lost.
Yep.
And then
That
you
happened.
get frustrated. And
Oh yeah.
the one, I think it's the mover, the RO kind of messed you up. You got the reshoot, and then you further messed it up.
I did.
No,
for sure. If you guys don't know, so there was one stage, I don't remember what it was. I do have the book here, but I'm not even going to look at it. It was you had this sequence of shooting you had to do. You had to do 3 at the mover, 1 at, I think, at IPSC, and then you change positions, and then it was 1, 1, 1, 1, back and forth. Well, anyways, it ended up being a big cluster, and the RO had got us out of sequence because when you hit the same set of targets to get back on sequence, he wouldn't call the hit on either one. So I'm like, I finally just put my mag block in, and I'm like, okay, I'm done because I have no idea where you want me to shoot now because you won't call. Anyway, so I reshot this thing, and I had a 4. Well, I got to reshoot it, and I got a 3. So, and I think about some of it was I was already frustrated and kind of bummed that it went that way. But then I told the RO too, I'm not a complainer. I don't care. I'll take whatever. And it ended up, so be it, that I ended up shooting again. But I had to shoot back to back, and I think that didn't help either. But it is what it is, and I had a great time at the match. It's freaking badass. But and we'll get into the match soon enough. But yeah. So those are the things that a newer, a guy that hasn't read the book yet is doing, and a lot of little mental mistakes. So those are the things that I'm working on. Hopefully you guys are learning not to have mental mistakes and all that kind of stuff. Right, Tyler?
Oh, yeah. I think the self-image is probably the key, though, right? Like, if you don't have a solid self-image, like Chris said, he has. If he goes down and he starts doubting himself at all, there's no room for that, especially when you want to try to compete at the highest level. You can't doubt yourself at all. One bad stage, I had a bad stage, but it didn't carry to any of my other stages.
And that's good, because I've seen it happen. I've done it, and you keep taking it to the next one, and it multiplies, magnifies, and you might as well just get in your car and go home, because it's not, it's just going to be train wreck after train wreck.
So I had a 4. I think it was on the pond. I think I had a 4 on that stage.
Ducks.
Yeah. You could tell the whole squad was like, wow, he just shot a 4 on that. He's done. So I think I come back and I clean like the next 5 in a row after that. It's that when that happens, it's how you handle it and carry yourself for the rest of the match. It kind of separates you from everybody else.
No, and you're very calm. I mean, we were on the same squad, if anybody is wondering, but watching Chris shoot that match, honestly, I didn't think he did as good as he normally does. I mean, yeah, the match was tough, but I've shot enough matches with Chris to go, oh man, he should have got a better score than that on the stages, and I'm not saying anything to him, but I'm just thinking it in my head, like, I got an 8, let's say, and he got an 8. Well, more than likely it should have been a 9 or a 10, you know what I mean? Like, I'm going, oh man, he's fighting through it right now. And it was cool to see he ended up where he did. But yeah, he did a good job of not showing any of that. So
yeah, I even started off. I think I got an 8 on that plane stage, which is an easy clean, and I went right into the tower, shot a 3. and that was just tough. Second stage in, there was a moment I was like, oh, I'm done. There's no way I can come back. But I'm like, well, there's still 19 stages left. I'll clean all the rest.
Yeah. Got to stay in it for the long run. It's 2 days, a lot of shooting.
Absolutely.
I try to think about the match as like not even. Sometimes I think about it as, this is not necessarily the match. The match in my mind is like the next 10 matches in a row. So if I have a bad stage, I just want to start shooting good from now on, for the rest of my shooting career instead of worrying about the fact that I lost a match.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, if you have a bad stage, it's done. There's nothing else you can do about it.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I like the 2-day match style shooting because I think, one, a lot of people don't shoot it, so I feel like if you shoot more of them, you have benefit, over the next guy or gal, and but they're hard to find, right? I mean, nationals, championship, and anything else you guys know of on a 2-day?
Not for Empire.
Yeah.
PRF
center-
finale.
I mean, I'd prefer 3 days.
Yeah, Tyler and I were talking about that last night. The more stages you shoot, the more it's going to kind of separate people out on kind of where they deserve to be. Kind of gets rid of some of the noise. But 2 days is a lot of stages. Yeah, 3 days that'd be pretty intense, like a marathon.
I'd dig it. That'd be cool. That just means we get to hang out after the thing and hang out and have a couple cocktails and BS about everything.
Mm-hmm.
That's one of the fun parts about even going to these matches is just being able to do all that and meet everybody. And I think it's almost just as cool as shooting the match. Let's see here. Let's see if we got some questions.
Sounds like the Mars finale will be a 2-day match.
I think
I don't
it
know.
is. I would
Thanks,
hope so.
Mark. Appreciate it. You too, buddy. Trying to catch up on some comments here. We got quite a few people watching. If there's echoing, I'm sorry. I don't know what's going on. It's not the guest. It's actually me. So hopefully you guys can fight through it. I do apologize. Must be time for some upgrade of equipment or something. Let's see. What are your guys' thoughts on faster twist barrels? David Lewis asks.
Faster twist barrels.
Faster twist barrel, yeah, like a 1 in 9, 1 in 12.
I have a 1 in 9 and a 1 in 12 both. The 1 in 9 is super finicky on ammo. I haven't found a lot that it likes. And I had it tested at the Lapula Test Center. The 1 in 12 showing promise. Still not good on all 16. I've been running 16s for years. Probably for a reason.
Well, in every championship you've won in the last 2 years has been with a 1 in 16, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And, I mean, it shoots amazing. I couldn't imagine finding something to shoot better.
Yeah, some of the 16 twist barrels don't do as good at ELR distances, and I think that's kind of where this whole thing came in about using a faster twist rate. When I first got my Schillen ratchet, it actually did not shoot very well past like 300 yards. It would drop low shots. But it seems like, now that I have probably 15,000 rounds on the barrel, it's shooting better. So at like 400 yards, I can kind of hold like a sub 1 mil vertical group. I can kind of keep them all in maybe like 8/10 or 7/10. But I mean, part of that's due to velocity variation, but some of it's due to bullets that are unstable. So yeah, it's kind of, I put a lot of thought into it, and I think the 9 twist is like excessive. I think we're dealing, in some of these 16 twist barrels, we're dealing with a little bit of bullet instability. I don't think we need to like, totally double the spin rate or anything. I think, bumping it up to like a 14 or something would probably be the way that I would go. And we've got a couple Schillen 14 twist barrels. We put one of them on Ruth's on shoots, and I don't know if the harmonics aren't right, but the barrel's just not shooting well at 50 yards. It's good, but it's just not as good as what we're looking for. So we haven't been using it. But my money would be on like a 15 or a 14 if I had to guess, but I don't have a lot of experience with it.
14 3/4 is the magic.
Yeah, I actually ordered 15-2-14 game twist whenever that comes.
Oh my God, we got to control. Yeah, it should just be illegal. Just shoot 1 in 16 and.
It's the long range stages, though, like that's makes or breaks a match. I mean, positional, you're either going to clean it or drop one. When you get it to a certain level, you're either going to clean it, drop one. If you make a mental error and shoot a wrong target, you drop 2.
Yeah.
The long range stage, some people like to get cute and put them at 450 yards. That can break your whole match. One person could go up there, get a good wind call, or have good dope and hit it and clean it. And then
See, that's what I'm thinking. I think it's more important to have a very low SD in your ammo, and then be good at wind calls. Like that's what I think is going to get you points.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Yeah.
Justin, don't get scared. But you got a little rat that's on your left shoulder. It's going to jump on you and attack you. Or something. I don't know what that is. Chupacabra? Something?
It's an Italian greyhound.
Awesome.
It's a rat that can run 30 miles per hour.
That's it. It's hard to tell because all I could see was a little tiny something on the bottom. Like you're going to get attacked. Grab the 22.
I just have this bad feeling, though, that going faster twist is still not going to shoot as good as what I got. I'm asking a lot out of a 22.
Yeah. Well, Chris has cut his back a lot. I know at one match, wasn't it the farthest was 5? Right at 5, 498 or something. Yeah, you started at 4, and you've made it a little bit shorter because of people's,
now
equipment.
we should go to 3.
Yeah.
And it's mainly just to encourage more people to come out and shoot. You don't have to have a special rail or go out and buy an expensive scope. Try to get it as much information as you can. So. And it's worth, I've had a lot more newer shooters come out this year since I've backed it into 300.
Yeah, the turnout you're getting at those matches is amazing.
Yeah.
Which is really cool.
So you keep everything inside of 300 now, you're saying?
Yeah.
Here's a question from Precision Rifle Network. I don't know if you guys can read that or not, but it says, were the targets at this match smaller than the other matches and further distances than other matches, or pretty much on par?
I think it was pretty much on par. What do you guys think? Chris got 85% of the hits, I think the number was, which I think is a really good place to be as far as difficulty level goes. Could have been a little easier maybe, but it wasn't too hard, I don't think.
Yeah, I think it was good. It was easier than Texas.
Yeah. It was easier than...
It's small.
I would say they had the perfect size targets. They were still difficult, but doable. And and a huge kudos again to all the positional stuff and not all the dumbass prone stuff. I'm not a fan of shooting prone 12 stages out of 20. So that was cool. Those guys did an amazing job. Kudos to them.
Yeah.
For sure.
Yeah.
Yep, there's a nice variety, and it was pretty straightforward. There was nothing that was, luck based. It was just a nice, straightforward, fair, good match.
Yeah.
Except for this stage. Stage 16, Tower of Death. Or should I say confusion? This is what I was talking about. Me and Justin were talking. Was it me and Justin or Tyler? I can't remember because we were all talking last night. But that is what I ended up putting this on a clipboard and shooting it like that.
That's
So
confusing.
the black bottom one, that's my first string of fire with this dope right here. Then I moved to the next position. So this is the shit that was going through my head. I got a 60 on it out of, I got half the targets. But that's what I have to deal with in my head right there.
Coloring book.
Yeah, so they had he's talking about a stage where they had, was it 5 targets or 6 targets?
It was 6 targets. It said start pro mag and bolt back at the start of the command. Engage each target with 1 round each of the following order, and then you had to shoot target 1, 2, and 3. Then you had to shoot targets 2, 3, 4, and then 3, 4, 5, and then 4, 5, 6. So obviously there was people that were dialing. There was people that were holding, and then there's a guy that makes a freaking 4-colored chart with this bullshit. And I started off really well, and then the wind came. And even Chris said he thought, go ahead, Chris, you said you thought the flagpole was going to fall over, right?
Oh yeah. The pole about broke while you shooting.
Yeah. So I had to deal with that shit. So I'm shooting down that tunnel of trees, right? And I cannot spot my hits. I can't spot my misses. I can't do anything but just keep sending her out there and hoping for the best, right? So... and I started off good. I think I went 1 for 1 all the way on the 6th target, and then I ran out of colors. Yeah, I'm in the squad going, hey, anybody got a blue pen? Who's got a red pen? Anybody got a?
Maybe I would have been better off using that kind of a dope card. I
used the
first 3 and then shot 1 again, and then I shot 2, and then they kept saying wrong target, and I'm like, oh crap, I forgot. And then I shot 4 when I should have shot 5, and it was just a mess.
Oh, there's Michelle. She says that stage wasn't that bad. It was when I was shooting it. You have a girl brain, though. You're a lot smarter than I am.
Yeah, I had from 2/10 right to 1.4 left.
Wow.
Yeah, that one got me. That one got me pretty good. Got a lot of people in here. Let's see. There's a question. How many of you guys are running tuners on your rifle?
I tried one. That's
I need a windproof environment in order to tune in a tuner.
Yeah. Chris just went to a tuner, didn't you?
Yeah, a few weeks ago.
And I have one that's almost done. I'm going to give it a shot. That's why, back to the whole really low SDs on ammo. If you can find ammo with really low SDs, I really think that's where the tuner can even help a hair more,
Yeah.
But you got to have good ammo.
It's not a miracle worker by far, but lot test first. And the tuner will definitely get you a couple pence more.
How many of you guys coming from wherever you showed up from, like we came from North Carolina, how far off was your dope how far off were your feet per second on your chronograph? I know when I showed up, I was gonna think that I was gonna, if I could get 10 targets for the whole weekend. I'm not shitting you guys. I'm like, this thing was so out of whack. I went through 250 rounds trying to get this thing to work. I ended up having to tweak some stuff in the Kestrel, and it did okay. But I was like, this is not good. But how about you guys? Did it just straight up work well, or no? Tyler's shaking his head. What happened, Tyler?
No, so about 2 weeks prior, I finally pulled out my rim fire from the last match I shot back in February, and I ran it through chrono, and I dropped about 25 feet per second. I had no idea what was going on. I had similar environmentals in the past and tried to compare them. I'm like, yeah, I don't know why it slowed down, and went and shot with Justin the week before the match. We ran some stages and gathered some dope and got my Kestrel trued up to that. Showed up out there, verified my dope, everything was lining up. I thought, okay, we're good. That was at like 65 degrees. At 4 o'clock, I decided to pull my gun out one more time and just verify my dope. And my feet per second jumped right back up to my normal. And at that point, I was like, too late to create a new profile. It was like 4:30. They were shutting the range down at 5. I pulled out my phone, dropped my old profile in, and it lined up with everything. Ran it out to 400 yards and let her eat.
And then it worked.
Get lucky.
Chris was right on the money. I think he put 4 shots down and he was done. I was like, jerk.
Checked 50, put a chronograph on it, make sure that's what it was in the house. I got up there on the little tower. I think I shot, I think it's like 161 and 304 or something. 2 or 3 at each. Center impact. Right on. Put her back in the truck.
Not me. Another 2.5 hours later, still trying to figure it out. It was bad.
Just panicking.
I was panicking. I'm like, oh, this is just great. How about you, Justin? Did it work out good or no?
I mean, things usually work good for me. I don't know what it is. I've just had really good luck. It seems like the Kestrel's set up, and no matter where I go, I just adjust update the environmentals in the Kestrel, dial in what it says, and I'm on. And that's pretty much what I had. But then in this match on day 2, I was actually hitting a little high. So I don't know. My zero was good. I checked my zero before the match, but I don't know. I had to take a couple tenths off my dope. So I still haven't figured out what that was. I don't know. I think I was just shooting hot. I think the velocity was kind of climbing up. The gun was getting a little loud. You know, I'm up over 1100 now, so you can start to hear it once you start to get closer to sound barrier, 1130 or whatever the number is.
You're starting to crack off a little bit.
Yeah.
I did notice, some of the shooters, you're like, man. And then I guess it depends, if you go from a really cold place to now it's super hot, that ammo's going to change up a little bit. Yeah. Tyler was the only competitor to clean the duck stage all weekend, so something worked. Brody said.
Pulled lots of wind.
Yeah. Did you guys shoot that the first day or the second day?
We shot it the first day. I had like 5 people go ahead of me, and I'd just mark where they missed, right? I'd be like 2 tenths right, 4 tenths right, 2 tenths right, and I'd write them all down because there's 3 ducks, there's 3 areas, and I had like 5 of them, and I just guessed. I'm like, oh. I dialed 4 tenths left and held 2 to 4 tenths off the left edge and let her eat.
Whippler's asking what the weather was like. It was warm. It was nice. I'm trying to remember.
What, 82, 83 degrees, something like that?
I could tell you right here.
Hot, windy.
Do you guys write the temps down when you're spinning them up for the match and like keep them in your book at all or no?
Haven't done that.
Temp,
Not a bad
temp
idea.
was 84 on stage 15. So, yeah, 84. I have a 79 in here. There's 78. 78. 71. So, yeah. 71 to 86 was the weather. I sound like a forecaster. And over here, it's going to be cloudy along this region.
I think that's another thing, though, too, for shooters. When they go to a match that's windy and they're getting their zero, I was watching them. All of them were getting their zero in that wind, and it's not a true zero. So when they got in the woods, they might have been 3-4 tenths off.
Yeah.
And that zero range at the bottom of the hill there, it was a constant. The number of people going in and out of there trying to adjust their zeros to what the actual zero is. That's tough. When you go to a match and start messing with that stuff, you better go there and have a good, solid zero right from the start.
Yeah, because then it's all guesswork all day long.
Yeah.
Or at least till you figure out what's going on. Let's see here. All right. What are some of the things that you guys can tell the viewers to become a better shooter, or like, let's give some tips and tricks to help the new shooter along. If you had a brand new shooter in front of you, I know Chris does a lot of youth. He has especially there's one young kid that he's been helping a lot. Just what are some things that they can take away and utilize maybe tomorrow or whenever they get a chance to go shoot again, that'll help the newer shooter, or even someone that's been shooting a while. Since you guys are the top 3 shooters in America and Australia. Shout out to the Aussie buddies out there they'll be watching it later. I think they're still in the airplane.
I'm gonna go out on a limb here and say, don't drink coffee the day of the match. That'll help you.
Or this, probably.
Caffeine. I think you're better off with a lower heart rate, less anxiety. That's me anyway. That's just one tip.
I'd have a higher heart rate and more anxiety if I didn't have tea. I'd be like, honestly.
It's funny that Justin said that. When I shot 3 position in silhouette, I would drink nothing but water like the week before a match. But now I drink tea, or I drink tea in the morning.
Yeah. Keeps the shakes down a little bit, or and better concentration and all that good stuff.
Those Kentucky boys, they're pounding monsters at 7:30 in the morning in the parking lot.
Jeez.
I may have been guilty of that.
What else?
Probably say, like you said.
Don't be trying to like save all your little ninja tricks and shit. I want some good golden freaking nuggets here you guys can hand out to the guys trying to, like Tyler Orth, like just started shooting not too long ago. What'd you say? 2 years ago, right? Year and a half ago?
Just over a year, yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, somebody taught him something, so you guys should probably teach somebody else something. That's the whole way to grow the sport. Even though you'll probably be shooting against them next match, let them give up some good stuff.
I think one of the biggest things for me, because of my archery background, I shoot a hinge release. I focus on exactly where I want to hit. I don't time my shots. I just keep focusing where I want to hit, and I just keep squeezing, and I'll let the round go when my subconscious wants it to go, not when I feel like it should go. Because if you try to time a shot, your mind, the trigger, it doesn't happen instantaneously. You're already behind where you want to shoot. So whenever I shoot, I'm focusing on exactly where I want to hit on that target. And that's the only thing I'm focusing on. I break the shot, and I try to make sure I correct what I miss. And I constantly move I don't. If I miss once, I'm not sending another round in that same spot. I'm making a correction.
I'm the same way as Tyler. I do what you might call a surprise break, where I pull the trigger slowly and let the gun go off when it wants to go off, especially on a shaky position barricade. What about you, Chris? Do you do that, or do you pull the trigger and basically tell the gun to go off?
The opposite. I tell the gun to go off and on.
Yeah, that would be my answer.
That's what Jacob Bynum, teaches as well. So we took his class last year. But he basically talks about time, or pulling the trigger when you're at the bottom of your breath, which is basically telling the gun to go off.
Yeah. So let the breath out, the bottom of the breath.
Outlaw Josie Wales wants to know if you have any. How did you guys deal on that unsupported freehand stage? Any advice? There was none of that, Outlaw Josie Wales. You're thinking of the video I put out. That was the match right before this one. I haven't had a chance to edit a video and get it out on the actual championship. So
that's silhouette shooting.
Yeah, that's old Mr. Tom Kanansky over here. Kazansky's dumb idea at the last Punisher match. So, and that worked really well of stealing points away from some poor guy. All 10 of them.
I claimed it.
9 of them. Huh?
I said I claimed it.
You don't count. You're the match director. And that's what you did, or used to do. No, but it gives you good. Well, and something we can talk about too is what do you guys? I enjoy going to matches that are tougher than I would like them to be, just for the fact that I think it makes you a better shooter at the end of the season. I know Chris, he runs a lot of matches, but it's always fun to shoot his positional Punisher matches. This is his second one that was last week or a couple weekends ago, and now you almost enjoy getting your butt kicked, knowing that you're not going to do great at it, but you're going to go, okay, this is what I need to work on. I need to work on that as well, and some of that, and a little bit of that, and a little of that. No, so it's fun. It tests your abilities a little more than some of the easier matches, but I think at the end of the day, you become a better shooter for sure.
Yeah, and I think Justin and I have had that discussion before too. Those meatball matches, I'm at such a disadvantage. Like you got to clean it to win it. I need to have it as difficult as possible for me to get an edge. The harder it is, the better, the higher the standings I will go. Because there's no separators.
Yep.
Yeah, if you got 8 people cleaning it, everybody ends up. 8 people with 100.
Mm-hmm.
The match director didn't. He needed to come up with some. He or she needed to come up with some smaller targets, obviously, or farther. And there's a lot of ways that I think Justin and maybe Tyler. I know Chris run matches, so there's a lot of ways to mess with shooters, whether it's distance, whether it's target size, whether it's something. There's definitely ways to make it tougher or easier.
Mm-hmm.
For sure.
Yeah, you can do, if it's nice to have differentiators on every single stage. So, one example would just be to have meatball targets and small targets on the same stage. That way everyone gets some impacts, but you still have the tiny targets to kind of differentiate the top level shooters.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Now, do you think like that one, there was a couple stages where there was a lot, at least in my brain, there was a lot involved. It wasn't just your normal near to far or far to near, or, it was kind of some weird shit where you had to do a lot of bouncing around. Do you think that is, what would you say? Not the word fair. Do you think that's the direction that they should continue to go, as far as, is it really a shooting thing, or now is it more of a mind twist kind of ninja screw up thing, and it just separates the people that can pay better attention. Like, do you like those stages? Or like me personally, I don't, because I have a horrible memory. And trying to keep up with whatever the hell I'm supposed to be doing. So I got one extra thing to fight against. But those of you that do matches or match directors, it is probably good to throw a couple hand grenades in there every once in a while. But do you guys like those or not like those? Like, do you think those help you because you're able to continue on and shoot it well, and it's probably going to screw up a good, not a majority, but a percentage of the shooters? Like, what are your thoughts on that?
Yeah, I like those stages. I don't want the whole match to be, at least 1 or 2, like a 2-day match. 1 or 2 of those is good. And like I said, told you shot good, but those couple things you're talking about, you should really
I agree. That's something I got to work on.
Yeah, it's one way to increase the difficulty level in a match without going to ridiculous tiny targets, I guess. It's just one way where you can kind of see how well the shooter knows their equipment, or how good they are at shooting, where you can now throw them a little curveball and see if they can handle that. How good do they know their stuff, or are they on the verge of collapse anyway, and then you throw one little thing at them and they fall off, I guess.
Yeah.
I don't know. Yeah, there's a couple different ways you can make it more difficult, and that seems to be a decent way to do it.
I thought the train one, just because I've never shot one like that before, was really cool. I was like, this is bad. It ended up being our last stage of the last day. And I'm like, I am just going to burn this shit down, and I don't care if I miss targets or not. I'm going to make sure that I shoot all 10 rounds before I get to the end, just for fun, because it was not going to hurt me, in the place-wise at all. So I was like, I had this like middle game of I don't give a shit, and I was just like, ba-ding, ba-ding, ding, ding, miss, or whatever. And I was like, yeah, this is awesome. That was cool. Like, Chris is going to be, for those out there watching, Chris is going to be the match director in charge of next year, 2022's NRL championship for 22 rimfire. So he's got, I don't know what, 21 stages he's got to come up with, and, he's got to come up with some cool shit. So when people leave and they go off to back to their states, they can say that old Mr. Tom Kazansky over here was, put on a really cool match. So I can't wait to see. We're going to be like rappelling down ropes and shit and trying to shoot off of some buildings. And I just can't wait to see what's going to happen.
John and I was already talking about it. So
yeah, I know John's going to help you out. That's cool.
Like I said, it'll be a hard match. Probably the hardest championship so far.
Is it going to be worse than Texas?
I don't know if it'll be worse than Texas.
And Texas was good, if you guys don't know, but it was a very tough match. It was small targets, windy.
Yeah, you got to have a good balance.
Yeah. A 20-stage Punisher, Dick Hedges says. It's basically that's what it's going to be. So if you guys don't know, Chris is the only guy that can build a 12-piece wooden barricade with one nail. Just so you know. Like, I don't know how you can keep the wood standing, but like when you put your rifle on it and you're like, you're doing this, and you're like, what's holding this thing? And you're looking, and there's only one of these guys, one screw or one nail, holding like 11 pieces of wood, and you're like, how's this possible? Yeah, he loves wobbly, crappy targets, or barricades. But at the end of the day, like we talked about, that makes you a better shooter. You know what I mean? So I've always hated Chris and always liked his style as well. So, but it's pretty cool. Yeah, you gonna give us any insight? I know you don't have any plans yet, but so basically we are going to end up. I saw his smirky smile. It's It's going to be a championship Punisher match is what it's going to be.
Pretty much.
Dang it.
Just because I get to sit back and watch it.
So you guys that are listening right now, if you're going to shoot this match, practice your offhand stuff. I will guarantee you there's going to be some of that crap in there.
Practice fundamental of marksmanship.
That's right. There's your hint of the day right there. For sure. Yeah, the audio, I don't know. The audio's on. I think it's on my end. I apologize. I don't know if I can't fix it. I'll end up hitting some fire and the whole thing will blip off and we'll have ruined the whole feed. So fight through it. People. Texas bad, really? No, Texas wasn't bad. It was tough, which is good.
Skyline targets, tall grass behind them, windy. They're just really hard to see. If you're not on, it was hard to. I don't know why I had trouble spotting bullets in flight too at that match. So they're just tough.
Oh, on the first day, because we were shooting over that hill thing, you couldn't. Yeah, that's what made it tough. And the size of the targets was cool.
Yeah, 4/10 targets, barricades.
Yeah, I remember looking at T-posts going, where's the targets?
Yeah.
And they were on there. They were just smaller than the damn T-posts. I'm like, this has got to be a joke.
I remember we pulled up. Barney's like, "Oh, okay." He hadn't set the targets yet. We get on glass and the target's on the post.
They were tough. Yep.
I don't know about you guys, but it was hard to read. I thought it was harder to read wind this weekend, just because you couldn't. A lot of stages you couldn't be on glass because there's really only one spot you could see the target. He's in the woods. It's hard to get a wind direction. I mean, you can see the leaves blow, but it's hard to get any indication off of them.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, there's just a lot of communication between shooters that are shooting and kind of what they're seeing, and there's a couple wind flags kind of hanging in the tree. But like you said, it was hard. It was just a hard match in general to spot, get a good spot to set up to actually see what's going on, because everything was, in tight, narrow lanes between trees, and
you could only see like one target, maybe out of the 5.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So you might have an RO there, Chris.
That's what I'm talking about.
I think Ruth needs to get her ass and shoot the damn match, is what I think.
I need RO.
There you go.
Ruth's going to shoot it. I bet money on it.
Yeah, me too.
She's got an advantage on you guys. She shot one of my matches.
That's right. She took second place in your match, didn't she?
Yeah, shot good.
I thought she shot 2 now.
No, just the one.
No, just 1.
So, Chris, how many matches are you going to have before Nationals?
There won't be any at Maxton where Nationals will be held, but I'll have probably 3 or 4 at my place. That's the good thing about where we're having it next year. It's even ground for everybody. Nobody will have an advantage because nobody will be shooting there.
Yep, that'll be good.
Mm-hmm.
Speaking of that, we were talking a little bit before about squatting. During these championship matches, there's always kind of the question mark in the back of my mind about, how would things have ended up if we were all on the same squad? Like, did any of us get an advantage? Being on certain days, on day 1 or day 2. If the wind, was affecting some of us more than others. The PRS finale last year, they had squatting was you were squatted based on your ranking, which a different dynamic. It was a more stressful match, but it was probably more fair. So, that's something to think about. Maybe we, might be good to do that one of these days.
More than likely, that's probably going to happen for my match. at least the top 10 or 20, and let everybody else score the way they want. Just like you say, just keep it fair for the top guys.
Yep.
And you get a chance to meet people you don't normally shoot with most of the time. So that's kind of a bonus, but also sucks as well.
Yeah. It's a lot more stressful when you're shooting against people that you're neck and neck with them and going back and forth. And
Was it, Justin?
sure was, buddy.
How much were you guys paying attention to it? You guys are both in the same squad, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It got a little hairy.
Were you
there
guys
for a
keeping
while.
track of each other's scores? Come on,
I shot right before Justin.
It was pretty. I mean, I wasn't counting to the T, but I mean, I knew we were close. I kind of knew within a couple points, plus or minus, that it was just right there. One stage he'd clean, and then I'd be, behind him, and then I'd do good, and he'd drop a few, and it was like, it was a good exercise in trying not to think about stuff like that.
Yeah, sounds tough.
So I think we were separated by one impact at the end of the match, out of 200.
Less.
Yeah.
That crazy? Really, the top.
What was it?
It was close.
1 point?
I think it was one impact.
Yeah.
Wow.
Plus whatever tiebreaker, a few fractions of a point, I didn't know, but
Yeah.
That's what I beat Paul last year. I think I beat him by 1 last year.
1 point.
that's crazy.
What do you guys do? I know my mentality going into a tiebreaker stage is there's no point in having a tiebreaker. It's more important to have the points. Are you guys trying to do both at the same time, or are you just I just want the hits? Whatever my time is my time. How important is the time to you guys when you're shooting? Are you going, oh, this is going to be a close match, and I'm really going to need the time, and I'm going to try to go faster than I probably should? Or are you nope, I'm just going to get my hits and worry about the time later?
I don't usually have any problems with time, because I train on 90-second stages. So I got 1 minute and 20 seconds. Usually you can get all your rounds off in 1 minute and 20 seconds.
No, on a speed stage, though. A tiebreaker stage.
Oh. No, get my impacts.
Yeah.
Depends on the stage. Usually, the tiebreaker stage is a pretty big target. I'm shooting pretty quick. But last weekend, there's a lot of targets out through there. And the wind was pretty switchy when we shot it, so I just slowed down.
That was probably one of the tougher tiebreaker stages I've had to shoot.
Yeah.
A lot of, you were holding because obviously it was a tiebreaker stage, so you didn't want to dial, but it's damn, there's a lot of stuff got going on for a tiebreaker stage.
15 shots.
Yeah. All the way in, all the way out, and all the way back.
Yeah, I kind of look at it as somewhat of a trap. Are you going to get tricked into dropping a shot to try to go a little faster? And there's on most of those stages, you cannot go fast enough to make up for one missed shot. So it's just go as fast as you can, only, while making sure that you're going to make all your impacts. So, I mean, it's a little bit faster is the way I look at it. But
see, and that's one of the problems with all squatting the top guys together is I shoot and I get an 8. Right? Now you can slow down as long as you get a 9.
Yeah.
Or a 10, or whatever. That's why I always play devil's advocate and go, I would stretch them all apart so all the good shooters have no flipping idea what the other good shooters are doing. Because now, in the back of their mind, when they get a 6, they're going, holy shit, I just dropped 4. I just lost the match. The match is done. I might as well pack my stuff up and go home because they have no idea. But if you're on the same squad and you're like, oh, he dropped three, that one guy cleaned it, and then you're like, you have an idea. But I think the real mental warp is to not know anything.
I don't know. I just never track that stuff.
You don't even write down your scores?
I write down my score just so I can verify it at the end, but I didn't even check my score after the first day. I mean, it is what it is.
Yeah, it doesn't matter.
I shot the best I could, and it is. I can't do anything.
No, that part I understand.
I always manage to hear. I never look, but someone always tells me, I don't want to know.
Yeah, you're like, I don't want to know.
Yep, especially when you have a match like this where you got 20 stages or 21 stages, so you got 21 squads. After day one, every person has shot a different kind of match, so it's not really an apple-to-apple score anyway.
Yeah.
And then I found out Paul had shot like 13 stages, and I'd only shot 12. He'd shot like the 15-round stage. Like you say, it wasn't apples to apples.
Yep.
Yeah, it'll never work out right unless you guys are one in the same squad, or you got to wait till the second day to really figure it out. Well, we're almost at an hour and a half. Anything, any last tidbit of advice? You guys really sucked ass at giving tips to the new shooters. Like, all the stuff you gave was just shit. I mean, you got the top 3 shooters in the nation, and I got some bullshit answers like, just practice, or I don't remember whatever the hell you guys said, but it was crap. I'm gonna give you guys another shot at this, and God forbid you just suck at it again. I mean, like, you're gonna have all these people just going, these are the dumbest guys. Rick's asked twice to give some tips out, and you're like, yeah, just make sure your rifle's shiny and clean, and like dumb stuff like that nobody cares about. You know what I mean? Like, you might as well have said, just make sure you bring your bolt with you when you go to the range. Like, we know that already. Like give us the good stuff. Like, you guys, I mean, I'm not even happy with you guys right now. I'm going to hear some good stuff. I got an idea. Somebody starts, and then you got to beat that. You got to trump it. And if you can't trump it, then you
All right, I'll go first. All right, so you should never make a mental mistake in a match again. If you have a procedure that you follow for prepping for a stage, it's just a checklist. It's an order of things that you do at a certain time, and you make sure you do them all. Like, you make sure you spin your turret back to the 0 stop and dial your dope. Make sure you turn the magnification. Make sure you turn your parallax. Make sure you check your mags. Do all those things. And another one is to make sure that you can see where the targets are. You know that target right there. That one's over by the tree. That one's over by the bush. All that stuff, and you've rehearsed the stage in your head. Visualize the stage, and if you do all those things, you will not make a mental error in a match. Easier said than done, but yeah, do that.
That's good. I'm going to give you 3 stars on that one. That's pretty good. Let's see. Well, you know what? We'll save the champ for last because, he knows a little bit something more than the poor third place guy would, right?
Right. So load your mags. Keep your mags loaded. That's key. You got to have loaded mags if you want to go shoot a match.
You're going to blow it on this one, aren't you, Tyler? You're really starting this whole make sure your rifle's shiny shit, aren't you?
Important. Good Cerakote job. Usually use wax, buff it out. No, I think a really important one is getting glass behind the shooting position and know where your targets are, memorize where the targets are. I think that one, especially for this match, if you didn't do that, you're going to be struggling finding those targets. You got to get on glass behind each position and see what it looks like.
And you got to be, I'm going to add to that because that was one of the things that was killing me. you can look through a spotting scope, you can look through binos from behind the area. But the problem is when you get to the barricade, you're going to see the target in a position that's different than what it actually is.
Mm-hmm.
And you need to be able to see the target at that elevation of the position. So I actually started taking my binos off, going to the damn stump, in each position and kind of going, okay, I see what I should be seeing when I actually get up there. Because what was happening is I was going, okay, yeah, that's 190 yards, and that's this and that, and I can see them out there from my one position that was pretty much like 6 feet to the right or left because there's so many damn tripods in the way. And then you get up there and the whole thing is different, the way you're seeing the targets and stuff. So that would be my 4-star answer. But tonight, we're going to end up with a 5-star answer from Tom Kazansky, a.k.a. Tom Kazansky. Give us some good shit. And before that, so you can't use it, make sure and I want to hear your guys' opinion, but make sure you're running a plate with your bag. A little more stable, a little better position. All right, go, Tom.
That's my most important piece of gear is my plate. But we didn't answer that. Justin kind of touched on it earlier. It's, focus on the process. You can control one shot at a time. And the first shot of the stage is the most important shot of the stage. That first shot is everything. Watch your first shot, get the data off of it, and then carry that throughout the stage. And during the entire stage, you're building data. So, if I'm walking out to distance, I'm keeping mental notes of what I held for when. As soon as I get done on the stage, I'll come back, I'll write that down in my book, and then I'll carry that wind call to the next stage. And that kind of gives you a good starting point. If we're firing in the same direction, say, okay, I held 4 cants on that last stage with 4 target. This one's kind of the same distance. I may start at 3 cants. Depends on size of target. Measure it and bracket it.
That's a damn good one. Actually, and I've seen you do that a lot, and for some reason I don't do the same. Because you are usually at the matches, you're going from stage whatever, and you're just kind of moving down the line. So the wind's, for the most part, in the same general direction and speed per se. So you just kind of got to guess between the distances of what you shot and what you're getting ready to shoot. Yeah. So I'll give you a 5-star on that. Again, I want to thank you guys and congratulate each and every one of you for being the best of the best this year. That's a huge, especially honestly for Tyler. In 1 year, you went from, to where you were to where you are now, and that's congratulations for sure. But it's awesome to see and watch you guys shoot. Obviously, I didn't get to watch you guys shoot, but it's just cool to watch the top shooters shoot real smooth, very calm, confident, and it's a pleasure. So again, I thank you guys for jumping on here tonight, and hopefully we gave the audience some cool tips and tricks and a little bit of fun and a couple smiles on the way to the 1.5 hour mark. But that's it. That's all I got. Any last minute words or things you want to say before we get out of here?
Yeah, we're having an X match on June 25th. You guys should come up to Minnesota. It should be pretty good. Ruth and I are putting it on.
When is it?
June 25th.
That's right before.
It's the same day as my match. I'm having a match in my place.
Reschedule it, Chris.
Reschedule it. Well, tell Ruth. I'm sure she can hear us, but glad she's recovering.
Yeah, she had her appendix removed yesterday. We got back on Monday, and she started having a sore stomach, and then Tuesday morning it was really bad. We went into the hospital, and 5 hours later she didn't have an appendix.
Ow.
Yeah.
Rough.
Yeah. I'm just glad it didn't happen during the match.
I know.
At least you were home, you know what I mean?
Yep.
That was what I
Yeah.
mean by that. At least you're back where family is and friends and stuff. You're not stuck in some grimy hotel bazillion miles away from your house and you don't know, you know what I mean? Like that.
Yeah.
That would suck even more. All right, well I'm gonna end the broadcast, but don't go anywhere, gentlemen. Don't hit any buttons yet, and we'll. All right, everybody. Thanks for showing up. Have a great night. Stay safe. If you get a chance, take your nieces and nephews, sons and daughters, neighbors, friends, family. Take them out to the range. Let them fall in love with shooting, like the four of us and many of you guys watching already. It's a lot of fun. Keep it going, and you guys have a great night. See you soon.